Josh, can you hear that? Can you hear it? Can you hear it, Josh? It's silent. No one knows. The one thing that's going on right now is everyone thinks they have the answer to the main event at UFC 303. Michael Chandler taking on Conor McGregor. But does anyone really know besides Conor McGregor?
John, it's eerily quiet around here.
It's silent, man.
I mean, I've been putting out some feelers and everyone's like, no, I mean, I'm hearing the fight's still on, but they're like, that's all I'm being told. So there's no more than like, oh yeah, he's fine, or his leg's doing okay, or his back or his knee, or like, there's no information on, yeah, he's able to kick the bag, we're ready to go, like he's good, or there's none of that. It's like, no, fight's still on. It's so quiet that
crazy.
People are just, they're not sure what to think. And it's very rare that happens. Usually we can squeeze something out of somebody's going, yeah, I heard it's not happening. Yeah, I heard it is. I heard it. Oh, it's a go. Don't worry about it. He said he's going to fight. That we can normally get something out of someone and be like, oh no, I believe it's going to happen. Like, I've got friends that work for the UFC they've been there forever, and they are very, but right now they're very tight-lipped. So when they're tight-lipped,
crazy,
it's making me feel like they're either still waiting for some results, or they already know.
Waiting for an answer.
They're waiting for results on a test, like testing whether it's, leg injury, whatever it is, or they're waiting for an answer whether he can fight or not, or they're waiting for a replacement to be signed. That's the third version. The third version is always like, we don't have a replacement yet that is willing to commit. And so until we get that replacement, no one say shit, or we will all lose our jobs. Someone's going to lose their job. So there's that. The last thing is, if he is out, Conor McGregor, if he's out, Michael Chandler still has to fight.
Oh, yeah.
Because why, John? Go ahead and explain it.
Well, you've got this thing on the, if you look at the tickets, you look at the posters, any of it, card subject to change.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that you cannot have is the main event with both people being out of it.
Yep.
You have both people out of it. Now that card has changed completely to the point where people can now say, I want a refund on my tickets. I want to turn my tickets back in. It doesn't have either of the fighters that I came here to watch. So they need Michael Chandler to step in there. They have it over $20 million gate. That's unbelievable. It's so impressive to say, that fight, brought in that kind of attention and that kind of desire from people to be there. It's fantastic. It is, International Fight Week, and it's all cool as the way the UFC sets everything up and everything. But they absolutely need Michael Chandler. And the one thing you got to look at is, who is it that would, Michael has sat out forever to get this fight with Conor. And if, they've got to entice him in some way with someone that they could say, hey, we're bringing you so-and-so, and I saw, it was a text, and it was by the Underground King. Eddie Alvarez said, here I come to save the day, right? Which I loved. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And I go, holy shit. If the UFC ends up having to put somebody in for Conor in that position, they couldn't pick a better fight, a better matchup, a better person to go against Michael Chandler than Eddie Alvarez, because those two have had, this would be a trilogy fight. Yep. The first fight took place back in 2011. I can't remember the damn month, but it was the day before the Dan Henderson versus Shogun Rua at UFC 139.
Wait, the day before or the day of? It was the same night.
Was it? Yeah. I believe it was the same night. Was actually on a Friday night.
I think it was the same night because Trevor Prangley fought Hector Lombard that night.
It might have been, but just, that fight between Chandler and Alvarez was incredible. And then 2 years later, in Long Beach, California. I refereed their second, the rematch, and it was incredible. Absolutely just back and forth, blood and guts. Both guys you can't ask for anything more. So, I mean, if Connor can't make it, I got to give it to Connor on this. Connor doesn't pull out of fights. Connor doesn't back out of opponents. He's got to have something. If this happens, he's hurt, and and I can understand that it's hurt to the point where he just can't do it. Okay, but you can't ask for a better replacement fight than if they do get Eddie Alvarez. I'm telling you, there's no one on their roster right now that I would rather see in that matchup with Michael Chandler at the end of June than Eddie Alvarez. My farm needs the earth, the air, and the water. I get my energy going on LMNT Electrolyte Drink Mix. Clean, good-tasting energy that feeds me like I feed my plants and animals. And after a long day on the tractor, when it's time to shoot the podcast, I drink LMNT so that I can stay energized and stay salty. Let's get it on. Come on.
Not Max Holloway?
Nope. I wouldn't. I'd rather see Eddie Alvarez against Michael Chandler in a trilogy fight. Because Josh, be honest. Those were two of the best damn fights. You had an incredible trilogy match with Gilbert Melendez. Okay. And there's been all kinds of trilogy fights, and there's been some that have been, good ones, and then some that are, one fight was really good, and then, the two other ones were. The two fights, you had one of the best trilogies there ever was with Gilbert, because they were all exciting. Yeah. They were all, and the second one was freaking phenomenal. Crazy. But the second fight with Alvarez against Chandler, which evened it out to 1 win apiece, was absolutely just balls deep fucking one of the best damn fucking fights you could watch. It was that entertaining, had that much action, that much back and forth, changing of positions. I mean, Chandler was almost choked out, gets his way through things because of the blood. He was able to slip out. It's like unbelievable. So I would rather, when I have two guys that I've seen go at it twice and put on unbelievable performances there both times, I'm looking saying the third one's gotta be there too. And so they just match up well. Yeah. And it should be an incredible fight.
I'm all for the signing of Eddie Alvarez. He's still got a little bit left in the tank. I'm not saying he's going to be the champion, but look, Michael Chandler's no spring chicken anymore either. And so the two of them.
It's also going to be at 170.
Yeah, exactly. Because, Eddie fought at 180 something against Mike Perry and bare knuckle. So that fight happening, I think the two of them now fighting at 170, he'd be able to make the weight. Eddie's not a tall, big guy. He's thick.
No.
Got a barrel, barrel-chested back. Most people have barrel-chested.
Huge back.
Are barrel-chested, he's got a barrel-chested back. Him and all those kids from Philly, man. I don't know what they do. Sean Brady. I mean, like these guys, they
got wings.
Yeah, exactly. They do have wings,
dude.
I can see maybe Gamrot, because he just got Dustin Poirier ready for the fight. I could see Gamrot stepping up and fighting Chandler for that fight. I'm not saying
but let me
that's
ask
a better
you this.
fight. I'm not.
Would you rather see Gamrot or Eddie Alvarez fight him?
I'd rather see Eddie, because I'm one of those nerds, man. Like I want to see you. I'm a nerd when it comes to the history of the sport.
You're pulling me into the nerdom.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, John. The fact that you remember who fought on UFC 12 at 11:52 p.m. at this, whatever it is, in this arena, this whatever the hell, man, that's nerdism. That's what it is, nerdism.
It is nerdism.
Look, I'd want to see him fight somebody that's going to have fun with it out there. That's what I want to see. I want to see someone that's going to go out there and just, and Chandler likes to trade. Chandler is an exciting fighter. I want to see someone go out there and try to have fun with them. Eddie Alvarez is the perfect dancing partner. You couldn't ask for a better partner. I would be surprised if the UFC did sign him, but I would love to see that signing happen. I guess the next...
Just to me, the fact that the UFC as a company, and that, either Mick Maynard or Sean Shelby or Dana or any, picked that out and said, well, what about? Yeah, baby. Way to be thinking deep, man, because you've got all these people that you've got signed that you could try to bring in, but that would be the fight that I could say didn't lose a damn thing, didn't lose anything going into International Fight Week. Yeah, you lost Conor, and a lot of people are going to want to see Conor and stuff. Trust me, you're going to see an amazing fight between those two.
The other thing is that you have footage of Eddie Alvarez winning the title. He is a former UFC champ. There's something to be said there. Chandler's never been a UFC champ. He's fighting a former UFC champ. Now you can build on that. You know, let the UFC PR and marketing fucking what do we call it? Just
the entire marketing team that they have and what they can do in creating. I mean, look, it's going to take them as a company. They're going to have a film team out there, and yeah, they don't have film of Eddie and Mike. They don't need it. They've got a ton of film of Mike. They got a ton of film of Eddie. You know, just start showing Eddie Alvarez against Justin Gaethje and what that fight was and stuff. I mean, come on. I think it's as good a substitute if it happens as you could ask for.
It'd be nice to see, man. It'd be nice to see if they were able to pull that together. If the Conor fight is off. Look, I also wonder though too, like this is going to force Chandler to move on with his life,
which is actually a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, at 38 years old, you don't have a lot of time left, to fight.
Is he 38 now?
I believe so.
No, 36.
No.
Come on, is he 30, 37?
No, I think he's 38, buddy.
Is he 38? Damn.
Yeah, let's take a look at this because now you're bothering me.
I am bothering you. I'm usually bothering you.
No, we know this. Let's see. I'm not familiar with how to use SureDog.
I'll find it.
Jeez,
hold on a second. I'll do this. I've been sitting here doing.
There it is. I found it, John. You're too slow.
Did you?
70 years old. No, I didn't find it, John. It said Fight Finder. It didn't say Fighter.
Oh my God.
Jeez, man.
He is 38 years old.
I told you. Once again, Josh is still trap wins. Bam, this thing is just look. But it's gonna force Chandler to move on with his life. If he gets a win, maybe the fight will come together later on, next fight. But I think it's better for him to get active. And he's put in a situation where he can't pull out. He has to be the other half. And we're going to find out exactly what happens. But look, it just seems to me that things are a little too tight-lipped from a lot of the people that I know. They're like, oh, yeah, and, fight. Everything I know is fight's still on. Normally they give you a little extra something here, something there. And they're not. I'm not getting that right now. And so, John, that makes me feel like something's going on and they're waiting for some answers themselves. And as they know it, fight is still on. So that's something to keep in mind. Keep an eye out, look out for the news, see what happened. And I'm thinking something may break here the next, probably 3 or 4 days. Because we're coming up. Is there anything else you want to say on that topic? Because we've got one more news thing. We're going to go ahead and bundle these all together.
Go, baby,
go. Just like my telephone bill and my...
All I know is I have already bought the pay-per-view for UFC 303.
Yeah.
And you can... If Conor makes it, awesome. But you give me Eddie Alvarez, I am a satisfied customer.
If you don't get Eddie Alvarez, you're asking for a refund?
I'm asking for a refund. I won't get one. I got to watch the fight.
You got to watch it.
Michael Vick at BetUS.com. Catch an incredible 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits, plus 10% gambler's insurance. BetUS, my online sportsbook and casino.
All right, look, there was something else too with Dustin Poirier. I saw he was on Ariel's show, and he had some comments there, and he said this.
Makes me not want to walk away is because I know I can still compete with these guys, and I feel like I'm still getting better. It's not like I'm slowing down that much or age is catching up with me. My reaction time is still good. I feel good, and I know I can beat these guys. And say I do leave, in a year from now, it might not be the same. if I ever try to come back or something. Like, I'm scared to miss what I have left to give, but also I don't want to give too much of myself. I want to give more because I know I have a short window to give the best of myself, but also I've given so much of myself to the sports for so long. It's just, where do I draw the line? And that's a battle that I have to figure out with myself.
It is a battle he has to figure out
It
with
is a
himself,
battle.
and that's a
Yeah.
hard battle to figure out. And everything he said is exactly how I put it. I tried to put it as eloquently as he did. Is that if he leaves and he gets the itch a year's time at his age, it's hard to cut. It's almost impossible to come back and get to the level of which he's at now.
True.
So why not? And like he said, I feel like I'm still getting better. I feel like there's little adjustments that he can still make to make himself better, which there is. And and I believe that he does have another title run in him. And I've been saying this. I continue to say this. I think that he can make another title run in the next, I'd say at least year. In the next year, I think he'll make another one year and a half. He'll get one more win, and I think he'll get that. I think they'd give him another title shot after one more win, John.
Well, I look at it this way. First off, Dustin Poirier just went 4.5 rounds with arguably the best pound for pound fighter there is in the sport right now. 4.5 rounds.
Yeah.
And he was doing well. I had him behind on the cards.
Mhm.
One judge had him even. So if he had, on one judge's card, if he had won the fifth round, he would have had Dustin winning the fight. Now, I look at him and I say, absolutely, what he said, I believe is correct. He is at this point able to compete with anybody. He still is one of the top dogs there. And we were just talking about Michael Chandler, and I said, I thought Michael was 36. You said no, 38, and you were right. I know Dustin Poirier is 35.
Yeah.
He's 3 years younger than Michael Chandler, and so he absolutely has. I know, a lot of people are going to say you don't have another run. He has another run if he wants to, but he's got to want to.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to have that burning desire to say, okay, this is it. This is my go. And I want to get back at that title shot. Because let's be honest, Islam is in that position. His next fight is going to be Arman Tsarukyan. Okay. So he's got Arman Tsarukyan. We'll say that he wins that matchup. Okay. I'm not saying, it's definitely not a shoe-in. Arman is freaking incredible, but we'll say that Islam wins that. Who else does he have to fight there in the lightweights?
Arman?
Gamrot?
He's already fought Gamrot.
Are
you talking about Islam?
I'm saying Islam. Who else does he have to fight? Once he gets through, he's already fought Tsarukyan, but he's going to fight Tsarukyan again. We'll say he wins.
Mm-hmm.
So then who does he have? Gamrot to fight?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Maybe Chandler, but I mean, like I'm saying, like Chandler.
Well, Chandler's going to have to get wins.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So you look, and truthfully, I could see, Islam moving up in weight within 2 fights. I could see him going to the welterweight. If Leon Edwards is still the champion, that's a good matchup for him. That's one that he would want. I could see him, trying to go up there. Now, does he vacate his belt or not? Who knows? But Dustin's in that position. He truthfully can compete with anyone. He's got a win against Gaethje. He had the loss against Gaethje. Mm-hmm. Okay, both fights, great fights. He just got caught with the kick on the one, and that happens. It's part of this sport. But the one thing that I know is he needs to sit back, relax. You don't have to make the decision today, but within a month's time, how are you feeling about what you do? How are you feeling about your progression as a fighter? How are you feeling about time spent away from your family? All of those things are the things you've got to figure out. Because, I know if there's one thing that, he's got his daughter, and what it was like when you didn't have kids, you were a different person. First off, when you didn't have a spouse, a wife, and you were on your own, single, fighting, that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. Then you end up, you get married and stuff, and it's not that much different, but you still got someone to think about. As soon as you get kids, it does become different.
It does.
And so he's got to figure out, time away from his daughter and things like that. How much is that affecting him? But I honestly think, look, Dustin Poirier, 35 years of age, he's got a good 3 years left to be, top of the food chain, and he could make it happen. He almost made it happen. In that fight, he was fighting well. I had him losing, but dude, he was in the fight. And Islam pulled off, a great submission, and that's what makes Islam who he is. But I would love to see Dustin stay for me because I'm selfish and I'm not the one, taking the abuse.
I would agree with you. There's no one else for him to fight. So you say 2 fights. I say 1 fight. He's going to fight Arman Tsarukyan and be done. He should be done. There's no one else here. You can fight Gamrot. Gamrot's got to get past somebody like a Justin Gaethje or a Charles Oliveira, or even if, Tsarukyan was to lose, maybe fighting Tsarukyan again before he even gets to a title shot. So there's one more there. UFC would maybe try to jump him up based on the fact that he's beat Arman already. He beat Tsarukyan. And so the wrestling is where, Islam would have problems. But outside of that, I think also too, would Islam vacate the title like you said? I think he would, because once he decides he can just eat whatever and just walk around and train, I don't think he wants to try to go back to trying to get his weight back down. I've noticed as a professional, Khabib was a little bit like that as he got closer to the title. He started being a little bit more strict with his diet. He didn't come into the camps, 190. He came into the camp 184, 180, and that's a lot. 5 pounds, it doesn't seem like a lot.
Huge difference.
But he wasn't starving himself already. He wasn't already cutting weight. He was coming in. He was coming in shape, and he was coming in looking good and feeling good. Whereas before he'd come in, today I'm only going to do 1 round, or 2 rounds, and he just kind of eased into camp a little bit. And don't get me wrong, they were always training, but like they knew when they got to camp, we're doing 3 hard rounds today. No, not today. I'm going to do 2. I'll do 2, and then I'll do my 3rd, next week or whatever. Just get your body into it, get used to it. I think obviously they're very well driven by that. I think that Islam will end up going up in weight, and that leaves the door wide open for Dustin. Now he's got tough fights ahead of him because where do you go with this, right? You've got Gamrot as his training partner. Gamrot may end up fighting for a title here soon. That puts you guys in the mix with each other. So
even Tsarukyan's ATT.
Yeah.
They're in, I'm not saying they're training against each other.
No.
But there's got to be sometimes they're in the same training room.
Absolutely. So, I mean, they've got to know who's who and what's what. And they have a good feeling. I don't know how often they train with each other. You know what I mean? But they're in the same room looking at each across the room going, okay, he's having a good time with that guy. Okay, I handle that guy.
Yep.
So there's a lot to be said there. Do I think that he should retire? No, I do not. Because, I had contemplated retirement several times earlier in my career. And I always knew what he just said. And that's why I said that about him the other day. Once you leave, you better be damn sure that you're gone. Because getting back to where you were is going to take you longer than just a couple months.
Oh, no. Yeah. Look, this is what people need to understand. Fighting is like any kind of, skill. It's perishable. Mm-hmm. Because you could fight when you were 22 years of age and you spent, we'll say 10 years getting to that point. That doesn't mean that when you're 32, if you haven't trained, that you're going to be any good at it. It's not that you're not going to lose everything. You're going to know how to throw a combination. You're going to know how to kick, but your ability to put it all together is not there, and you just have to, everything is perishable. If you are not in the gym working to make yourself better while everybody else is, you are falling behind. And that's all ground that you've got to try to make up, and you'll never make it all back.
No,
it's not going to happen.
You got to look at it as like almost like the mama mentality. Get up in the morning at 4 a.m., do your workout, okay? Get up again at 8 or 9 a.m., do a workout. Get up again at 2 p.m., do a workout. Get up again at, 6 o'clock, do a workout. Get 4 workouts in if you can, because now you're 2 workouts ahead of everyone else that only works out twice a day. And then you're progressively getting better. If you take that year off, and at his age, okay, he's 35 years old. at Dustin's age, which is not old, but
No.
if he takes a year off, all those guys that were training for a year, they're still in shape. Even if they're not getting better, their body is physically in shape and used to the pounding. He's going to have to get his body back into taking leg kicks, back into taking the head shots, back into taking the body shots, back into feeling rough and getting rigid with each other against the wall drills, things like that. Those are problems. And at that age, at 35, it doesn't seem that bad. No, it's not easy.
No, it sucks.
It's not easy. And to know that he's this close. I mean, Charles Oliveira didn't make it 5 rounds. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Charles Oliveira at all.
No.
I'm just simply saying, you're in that mix, man. I mean, he's right there. If Islam leaves, let's just toss it. Let's just flip a coin because it's anyone's belt right now, but I'm leaning with probably Dustin. Give me, if Islam leaves, look, let me read them off. You got Islam, you got Armand, Charles,
you got
Justin,
Armand, Charles,
and
Dustin.
Let's just stay with that. And Gamrot. There's your top 5. Flip a coin.
Yeah.
Any given night, any given day, doesn't matter. Any of them could win. But I mean, you got to be honest, man. If I'm looking at the records, right? You got Charles and you got Dustin. I say I've had the best and the most high experience of fighting the
no doubt
top of stuff. And then I'd probably go Justin right after that.
Yep, absolutely.
And then Gamrot and Armand, they've got some work to do. Don't get me wrong. They're explosive. They're very good. They can get it done as well. But I'm going to go with one of the seasoned veterans, only based on the fact because they've fought everybody in the who's who, and they know what it's like to get in that 4th and 5th round and be like, you're getting a little tired. Okay. Or, it's not working for you now. I'm going to start putting some pressure. Look what Dustin did to Dan Hooker. Yeah. Like, that's something you should maybe look to expect him to do to someone like Armand Sarukian or a Gamrot, and so those type of situations happen based on, the experience that you bring to the table, and Dustin's right there. Flip a coin with those guys. And, but I honestly, if I'm picking the top guy out of that group of 5, I'm taking Dustin. No disrespect to the other 4,
no,
but I'm taking Dustin. I believe it. I believe in him. So, look, I hope he doesn't walk away. I think there's plenty left in the tank there. And I think what concerns me a little bit, there was something he said. He goes, if I won the title, I was going to walk away right there in the cage. I was going to hang it up. Now, if you're the UFC, you're like, I don't know if I want to give him a title shot now.
Well, that's not what they want to hear.
No, like you got to defend it. Like that's why that pissed them off with GSP. I'm going to defend the title at 185. I'm going to defend the title at 185 after he
never did.
He never did. He walked away, vacate, boom, done. That's why Dana doesn't support anything he does, really. Doesn't support anything GSP does.
No.
It's
not at all.
That pissed him off. Okay, you're going to give us the 185.
Hugely.
Yeah. If he would have defended it once, I think they would have been happy with that. But he didn't defend it one time.
Yeah. Well, it's the difference between, I'll just say it, Michael Bisping, who he got the title from. Mm-hmm. Michael Bisping was injured going into that fight. A lot of people are, don't remember.
I didn't know that.
Dude, he had a rib injury that he couldn't hardly breathe. And he was thinking about he actually got a doctor to give him lidocaine with the shot. He went in to try to hide it. He's like, fuck this. The adrenaline will help you. It's like Michael Bisping went into that thing seriously injured, one eye, the whole thing. But, he knew he couldn't pull out of that fight. It was a big fight. It was a big fight for him. It was a big fight for the UFC. It was in New York, and stuff. So, these are the things guys do. And these are the things that Dana looks at and appreciates and goes, hey, you took care of us. And then, and Michael Bisping did, he didn't pull out of that fight, which would have been a big problem for the UFC if he had pulled out of that GSP fight where, GSP had promised him, I'll defend the title at 185 and then just pushed it along, stroked him off and said, I'm out, and I can understand them upset about it, but that's fighting. That is what it is.
Yeah. Because there's no team in there's no team in fighting, right? Or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But there's me.
There's me.
So
Yeah.
it's like no we or something like that in fighting. Anyways,
Yeah.
the bottom line is look, fighters will generally be selfish when they have to, which
Yeah.
is pretty much every single time.
Well, yeah.
But then you get the guys that are company men. Michael Bisping is a company man. DC is a company
Yes.
man. Like this shit happens. Like, and there's a difference between how they get treated because they were company men and they've done their part, and the ones that weren't. So it is what it is, man. But I hope he doesn't retire. Dustin Poirier is a freaking legend. I'd like to see him make the walk at least 2 or 3 more times. I think he's got plenty in him. No reason to.
I agree with you. So now, Dustin, if you're listening, you got to stay. We've said it. You got to stay. That's just the way it is. I hope you stay, though, brother.